time. This is the time. Let's invite our amazing pastor. Happens to be my wife also. Yes. To give us an amazing sermon that fitting this day. All right, let's all welcome Nadya.
Thank you so much for coming again. So nice to see you. And anyway, I just wanted to share a little thing that came to me in the morning. I was talking with Kathy yesterday. It was her birthday. So Kathy's still kind of a birthday girl. If you didn't say happy birthday, you can tell it to her. Sorry to bring you attention to you. But we were talking to yesterday, and we agreed that both of our mothers' birthdays was a very big thing, because that's the time when you feel you can really show your love, and the person felt celebrated. So, and I remember when my kids were little, I also felt like I need to make it fun. I need to make a party. And we would have all kinds of parties with scavenger hunts. So, and yesterday when I was running around trying to think how we're going to decorate and making the activities, I'm like, wait a second, I'm doing a party for my kids. Anyway, it just felt very interesting that I'm doing the same thing. So my kids prepared me, and I hope you enjoy today. Yeah, my elves helped me decorate it for you so we can celebrate. So, yes, we're going to be talking today about the person who a lot of people, at least Christian world celebrating. That's a very important event, right? And again, if you look in our movement, right, when you look at the early speeches of True Father, that's all he talked about. He talked about Jesus, right? Jesus was guiding him. He met Jesus when he was 15 years old, and his life changed forever, right? And he felt like, whatever he did, he wanted to comfort Jesus' heart. So, but to start, I wanted to show this short video. And some of you might have seen this movie. It's called Les Miserables. Have you seen it? How many people seen it? A few people. Do you know the story of Les Miserables? Yeah, Victor Hugo, right? I mean, I know some of my kids. I mean, most probably they don't really know. I know Ray doesn't know. So that's why I'll explain a little bit the story. It's a beautiful novel. It's very Christian in heart, but the way it starts and the way the movie starts in the very beginning, the main character, his life treated him very unfairly. When he was young, he stole a loaf of bread because he was really hungry, and he was sent to prison for 19 years. So he's very angry. He doesn't have any hope. You'll see in the clip, he has a passport. And he knows that if he shows this passport, nobody's going to give him work because he's a prisoner, right? Former prisoner. Convict, right? And then he tries to find a place to sleep on the way to where he's going. And nobody, of course, wants to let him in. But then one lady tells him, knock on that door. So he goes to this church. So let's hope that will work. Okay, we don't have the sound.
It's not from the beginning.
Yeah.
Do you have any food you can spare for me?
Come in.
Look, I'm a convict. My name is Jean Valjean. I've served 19 years hard labor. They let me out 4 days ago. I'm on parole. I have to go all the way to Dijon to report by Monday, or they'll send me back to prison. Here's my passport. I can't read, but I know what it says. He's very dangerous.
Monsieur, you're welcome to eat with us as my guest.
I'm a convict. You saw my passport.
I know who you are.
You're gonna let me inside your house.
crime did you commit?
Maybe I killed some. How do you know I'm not going to murder you?
How do you know I'm not going to murder you?
Joke.
I suppose we'll have to trust each other.
I didn't kill anyone. I'm a thief. I stole food. I stole what I paid for it. 19 years in chains. So they let me out and they give me a yellow passport. What can I do with the yellow passport? I have to go to my parole officer in Dijon and then what? Starve to death? 19 years. And now the real punishment begins.
Man can be unjust.
Man, not God. All right, whoever you are, thank you. A meal and a bed to sleep in. A real bed. And in the morning, I'll be a new man.
Is anybody there? So we'll use wooden spoons. I don't want to hear anything more about it.
I'm sorry to disturb you,
Caught him.
but I had my eye on this man.
God. I'm very angry with you, Jean Valjean.
What happened to your eye, Monseigneur?
Didn't he tell you he was our guest last night?
Oh, yes. After we searched his knapsack and found all this silver, he claimed that you gave it to him.
Yes. Of course I gave him the silverware. But why didn't you take the candlesticks? That was very foolish. Madame Gillot, fetch the silver candlesticks. They're worth at least 2,000 francs. Why did you leave them? Hurry. Monsieur Valjean has to get going. He's lost a lot of time. Did you forget to take them?
Are you saying he told us the truth?
Of course. Thank you for bringing him back. I'm very relieved.
Release him.
You're really letting me go?
Didn't you understand the bishop?
Madame Gillot, offer these men some wine. They must be thirsty.
Thank you.
And don't forget. Don't ever forget. You've promised to become a new man.
Promise. Why are you doing this?
Jean Valjean, my brother, You no longer belong to evil. With this silver, I bought your soul. I've ransomed you from fear and hatred. And now I give you back to God.
That's one of my favorite stories and favorite movies. They made a lot of movies on this book. Yeah, so, yeah. So, and this is the topic of our sermon today. Yeah, so we're going to be talking about Jesus, and we're going to be talking about love, right, that he revealed to the world. So, and for a lot of people today, right, again, when we think about Easter, and like I said, yeah, for many Christians, it is the biggest holiday of the year, right? So, but when I was thinking about it, right, what can we say about it? A lot of times, right, it's a beautiful story, it's a meaningful tradition, it's a moment of gratitude, right, for what has been done for us. But what does it mean for me? Right? A lot of times I was thinking, do we really think about it from this viewpoint? Yeah? And because if what Jesus did is real, if he was a real person, and he did what he did, right? This grand big gesture, this grand big sacrifice, this grand big life, right? That wasn't even too long, but somehow impacted us to the point that, yeah, like my husband has mentioned, and I think about it from time to time, that we count our years, the whole world counts our year 2026 from appearance of this man on earth, right? But hopefully the idea that we could think about today, I hope we all, that it's not just about what God had done for us. Yeah, this famous quote from the gospel, right? For God so loved the world that he sent his only son, right? So a lot of times we're focusing on this point. What did God do? What did God do for us, right? But what I want us to focus today, try to think, and I feel like, again, that's what Jesus would do if he would be here. Try to think, what does it tell me about my value? And what does it show to me what each one of us is capable of? Yeah. So, and I focused as an essence of the sermon today on three speeches. Two speeches from True Father from 1956 when he talked about Jesus, and also one page of the new book that been introduced to us recently from True Mother's Blessing, Champo Moron. Yeah, and a lot of you bought this purple book, right? And it has this section that it talks about essence of Jesus. And we know also, similar as True Father, True Mother, most of the time when she talks to us, first she talks about God, and second she talks about Jesus, right? And the essence of Jesus. So I tried to put it together, and hopefully it would make sense to you. But yeah. So from the very beginning, right, when Heavenly Parent created people, the idea was to reflect the heart, to be a source of joy, and to be his pride, right? Yesterday, my girls, they are doing this program, Ilshin program, right? Like preparation for the future blessing. And they had to watch the video about divine principle. And I was reminded again, and we were talking about it with them yesterday, that this irresistible impulse of love that God has, it's incredible, and again, that's very new what Principle brought from the philosophical even understanding. Because usually, again, all the religious people, they think that God is all-powerful, all-knowing, right? Governs everything. Sometimes, again, people imagine God is on the throne, right? Or whatever. God is this cosmic power of yin and yang. Whatever tradition you come from, it's this all-powerful, the beginning and source of all power. But Principle explains that there is even some power that is stronger than God. That even God cannot resist this power. And it's this power of love that generates from God's heart. And guided by this power, God was absolutely determined to find an object to pour this love into, right? And that's why God created the universe. But the apple of God's eye, cherry on the cake, was human beings. Yeah. And again, the most important what God saw them capable of is being the vessels of this kind of love, right? So they can reciprocate this love with God, right? But we know again that was lost from the very beginning, and ever since then, God was trying to find somebody who can fully represent Him, right? But again, specifically, love and heart, not understanding, not grandiose, love and heart. Yeah? And the very first person who was ever able to do that was Jesus. Right? Again, we know that not everybody until this day understands that or kind of admits that, and starting again, first of all, from the people who He came to love, right? The people whom He came to, who were prepared by God to embrace Him and support Him. However, for so many people, this became hope. Even again, this movie, right? When people watch this movie, not necessarily they think about Christianity or Jesus, right? But of course, it talks about that He met this priest. But again, those of you who read the book or know the story, he truly, from this moment on, he truly followed through and became a different person who changed so many lives, right? So, but finally, after many preparation and many years, God could have this person, right? And I just wanted to make a little note. This pictures that I used here is the paintings of the girl. If you remember, on the Christmas time, I showed you some of her paintings. Her name is Akian, and since she was a little girl, she had experiences with Jesus. So she made a few paintings of Jesus through different stages of his life. So I used them here. I thought they're very expressive. So Jesus was born as this only begotten son. And again, that meant that he was carrying the lineage, right? The seed. Again, in everything. In his heart, in his body, right? We know again, True Father at some point was very adamant explaining to us of this painstaking process that made it possible for Jesus to be born without original sin, to be born as only begotten son. But the point is that it was the result of a long, intentional preparation. Right? It was very, very specific. But what True Mother talks about in this purple book, and what moved my heart when I was preparing for the service, that she says that Jesus grew into this heart. Again, we don't know too much about his life, right? We know just a few moments, and then we know those last 3 years of his life. But something he did also, that he didn't just grow physically, but he developed this deep personal relationship with Heavenly Parent. He became so close, right? That's why I heard it from, I think, some Christian service, but I really like this point, this famous also moment when Jesus came to the church and saw that they were selling something, right, at the entrance of the church. Remember? He got so angry, right? So he started throwing these tables. But what he was saying, he said, how can you do it in the house of my father? Right? Again, he didn't say you defiled the Lord, right? He was talking, it's my dad, right? You shouldn't do this. It doesn't belong here, right? So he had this kind of personal connection. And again, that was very new. All these religious people, they didn't know what he's talking about. God is somebody you revere, again, somebody you ritualistically serve, you're really scared of, because if you do something wrong, he's going to punish you. But love, right? My father, right? Nobody called God Father before. It was the Lord, right? So something he did, I guess, again. Sometimes people say that he traveled, right? My husband believes, and he read about it, that he traveled. Maybe he went to the East. He talked to all of those Confucianist people or Buddhists, right? And he learned a lot from them. But he was searching and searching, right? And until finally his heart became completely one with Heavenly Parent. Again, to the point that he cannot not say some things. He cannot not do some things, no matter what people will think of him, no matter how dangerous it would be for him, right? He just felt like that's what you do. That's what you do when you a human. That's what humans do, right? So, and yeah, the most, I think, beautiful understanding that true parents try to bring over and over again, right? That Jesus was not meant to become the Savior, to be an idol that we worship. He meant to become our Father, right? He came to adopt us. He came to truly become this person that we can trust and we can run to, and we don't have to be scared anymore. Yeah? And he did not only mean to save people spiritually, right? And he also was supposed to do a very specific thing, very practical thing, form a family, right? Because you cannot become a father without creating a family, especially for a man, right? I'm sure, guys, you agree with me that those of you who are fathers, we have a few who are not yet, but it's like day and night, right? And again, for women, it's a little bit easier because we get used to the baby even before the baby is born, so we can see that the baby is in there, right? And it's knocking on the walls of your body, right? So we know that's why it's a little bit easier for us to right away love the baby because it's a part of us. But for a man, it's really hard. You need to experience love with your wife, and you need to see this baby being born and looking like you, right? So for Jesus to really solidify this position as true father, he needed to become a dad, right? And he needed to restore what was lost, and he needed to establish this world based on love. He needed to show how do we love, right? Because again, we know people didn't know, right? That's why when Jesus would passing by and saw people throwing stones at the woman who apparently committed a crime, right? He couldn't just pass by, right? He felt like, again, this is my sister. What are you doing? Didn't you do something in your life that was not right? And just because nobody saw it doesn't mean you are different. So, but yeah, this point I felt was very deep, that again, so many people still, it's not in our kind of vocabulary, and even sometimes for us, no matter how many times true parents talked about it and tried to show again by example, that Jesus did not just came to take us to heaven, but he came to build it. We needed to experience it. We were not supposed to just wait until the time passes and we can go to spirit world and experience love. Right? We were supposed to learn how to breathe love here on earth. So he was preparing to become a partner find this only begotten daughter. She was supposed to appear at that time, create a family, and start this new beginning. But the tragedy is that people didn't just reject the teacher, again, they didn't just reject the vessel of truth, of the new truth. They rejected the one who came to bring them home. Yeah. And again, talking about this point, right, that these people who were prepared to protect him and guide him and receive this new truth, they knew religion, right? All those people, they could cite Holy Scripture, right? But they missed love, right? Somehow they could not recognize love. There was no organs in them, right, to feel and see this love. And they didn't recognize that God's plan is standing right in front of them, right? Because again, all they saw was their concepts, right? And that he dared to gather food on Saturday, right? On Sabbath. So, and because of that, Jesus, and like I said, of course, again, people talk about it sometimes. Wouldn't it be easier for Jesus to just run away somewhere and wait and hide, but survive, right? But again, it's my kind of feeling or opinion. It's just, again, when there is this kind of love, you just cannot, again, not to say something or not do something. Like, again, I had this tiny experience that I think I can correspond to. Maybe sometimes when I remember those little moments, I think maybe that's when God also notices us, when we feel this kind of irresistible impulse of love. I had this very good friend of mine. I think we were like 8 or 9, and we were very close. But he was a typical boy. He was like very hyper, running around and doing all kinds of things. And in school, it's not very appreciated by teachers. And we had a big class of 30 people, and it was still Soviet Union. Yeah, it was still very rigid. So, and what teachers would do, if you did something wrong, they would put you in front of the class and they would berate you, and everybody could see how ashamed you should be. So there was something that he did, I forgot, something, again, I think we had this journal that we're supposed to write down our homework, and teachers would put gave us grades there, and parents were supposed to sign. Remember, Papa? That they saw that grade. So, and he didn't do it properly. It was crumpled or didn't look nice. So the teacher put him in front of the class, this little boy, right? And she was saying, you should be ashamed of yourself. This is your document. It's like your passport. And Soviet person should be proud of his passport. Something like that. You see, I still remember. And I remember sitting, and I was a very quiet girl, right? And I'd seen him there, this little boy, and I feel like I'm gonna cry, but I shouldn't. So I remember I covered myself with the books so nobody sees, because I didn't want to attract attention, but nothing I could do, right? I felt what he felt being there, and I just started crying, eventually really crying. But then she started attacking him even more. You see, Nadya is a good girl, why is she crying for you? So I'm like, I made it worse. But I think a little bit, I had this taste, right? That again, when you connected to someone, or when you feel love, you just can't hide it. Or again, you can't be quiet, even if it means you're putting your own life in jeopardy, right? So I guess Jesus felt like that. Yeah. So, but even when he realized that it's gonna happen, right? That again, his prayer and Gethsemane, when he asked people to support him and pray with him, and they couldn't, right? So he realized that he's all alone, utterly alone, and there's not even one person who could understand this love, or this love could rub off on. He still held on to Heavenly Parent, right? And we know again, he said that I wish I didn't have to do it, but I'm with you, right? Even if nobody else is with me, or I don't know what's gonna happen, but Heavenly Parent, I'm with you, yeah? So he wasn't thinking about himself, he wasn't grieving for himself, but it was all for God and humanity. And we know that Jesus chose Heavenly Parents' heart always, over his own pain, over the danger, right? Every time, every time. And what he left us, right? That he left this foundation. He left this precedent that it's possible. Again, a human being can be like that, right? Human being can be that close to Heavenly Parent, and human being can have this kind of heart. Yeah, love, faith, right? And something, and especially again, because people started having the spiritual experiences and realized even though Jesus' body was destroyed, apparently he can still come and they still feel his love even stronger than before. That opened, of course, a whole new world, right? And again, we know that eventually so many things could change in history. So coming closer to the point, right, of what does it mean for us, that again, and that's what I feel like True Parents has always talked about it over and over, right? It's not about Jesus died for us. It's not about his sacrifice, which again was enormous. But it's about what his life reveals, right? And this whole point that he didn't come to save us instead of us, but he came, to show what we can be, what we were created to be, yeah. And again, the beautiful thing I think about this point, that again, God so loved the world that he gave his son to us, yeah, that no matter what happened, every time God, no matter how we behaved, again, no matter how we were ready or not ready, God and Jesus chose us. Yeah, and that's what I feel like the real message that God always wants us to know, and that's what Jesus would tell us if he would be here, right? That it doesn't, yes, again, that was incredible sacrifice, and it was an incredible act of love, but it's not about him, just him, that he's so amazing, that's what God's son does, or that's how great God's love is. But it means I'm worth it. Each one of us worth it, right? That's how much our value and our calling and potential, how great it is, right? And that's why, I wanted to show you this little clip, and it's a fictional story, right? But we know there were a lot of people who tried to live like that and act like that, right? Trying to follow Jesus' example. And that's how love started to grow. Again, not always perfect, and there were a lot of mistakes made. And we know, unfortunately, we have this tendency again to make an idol of anything and just put it on a wall and use it sometimes for our own personal gain, right? People did it with Christianity too, right? But when they really try to practice, when they truly try to do this, what would Jesus do? Some incredible things came out, right? And again, in this story, right, that's what priests try to do. What would Jesus do, right? And he said that, even though this person totally took for granted everything he did for him, all this kindness, instead of attacking him and acting on eye for an eye, he gave him more, right? He like this beautiful moment, right? Bring the candlesticks. How could you leave them behind, right? And then this act, not of course the silver, right? But in the story, he kept the silver. He actually did not use it, right? He really made something amazing of himself, but until the very end, it was so precious because it was this symbol of God's love. But he said, right, he could do that. And any of us can be that kind of person. And I'm sure many of us had these experiences when we did something that was not convenient, that was not to our own benefit, and maybe people deserved us being angry at them, but we still loved and we still gave more, right? And it's all because of Jesus. Oops, sorry. So that's why what I wanted us to hopefully feel today and carry throughout the week and continue in our relationships, especially with Jesus or true parents, right? This understanding that that's how valuable I am, right? That love, this beautiful love chose me, right? And I'm here because of this love, and I am capable of the same love. Yeah, it's in my veins now, right? Especially as a blessed families, we know that's what True Mother really believes, right? She keeps saying, just be the best you can be, and everything's gonna be okay, right? Again, her last words from the prison, there was nothing grandiose, very theological. Again, she said, it's gonna be okay. Just keep loving, just keep being you. Remember who you are. So hopefully again we can celebrate this moment today with each other, and hopefully again we can remember this point, that if this kind of person was ready to sacrifice everything for us, it means we're worth it. We're really worth it to him and to God and to each other. So let's pray together to finish. Our dear beloved Heavenly Parent, Heavenly Father, Heavenly Mother, we know that you're still lonely. There is a lot of people who joined you in the recent years, and you sometimes feel this incredible hope, but at some point it felt that the world is really getting safe and hopeful, and there's less hunger and less poverty and less brutality and anger in this world. But then it still keeps resurfacing, and so many people nowadays are so discouraged and frustrated and disillusioned about any kind of institutions, be it governments, democratic governments, churches. And sometimes we even feel like that in our movement too. We're not immune to this. There's so many things are happening. There's so much resentment and pain going on and confusion. But we know that, yeah, you keep trying to tell us through those special people that you send to us to show us how it's supposed to be, that it was never about institutions, it was never about structures, it was never about religion, it was always about relationships. And if we are able to find this love inside or see this love expressed to us, then everything changes. And we know that the most painful thing for you is so many times, yeah, that these people, your messengers, your wonderful, special envoys, they are right there in front of us, but we miss it. Or we think it's not meant to be for me, or I cannot be like that. So today we are very grateful again that you're reminding us that this beautiful love that was embodied on earth is still alive. And even though again people get confused and use it for granted, it still always shines through and finds its way to show itself. So we hope that we can continue holding on to this love inside our hearts and in our relationships, honor it, and truly, Heavenly Parent, keep working and finding this love and returning it to you. we hope that you can guide us today and be with us in this beautiful room in our relationships. And we hope that we can shine it wherever we go and remind each other who we are, and that your love chose us and keeps choosing us every time. So on behalf of all of us, we want to offer this time to you in attendance to Holy Mother Han, and in the name of all the blessed families here, and my name, Kazakh Central Blessed Family. A few minutes, couple minutes of prayer.